Welcome. My name is Donna Bachowski, and I have the pleasure of being the Director of Implementations here at ByWater Solutions. Um, I have come back due to popular demand, or was it because I was complaining too much about Katrina's jokes? One of the two.
My joke got demoted.
But that's okay. We're all good at other things. So just really quick, I want to introduce the implementation team and the folks that we have with us today that are going to be doing the webinar. So just going across my screen, I see Holly. She's one of our educators. I see Katrina, another educator. Cassidy is our newest educator. We have Sarah. We have Andrew, who is our I don't know, whatever we're calling him or whatever we're calling them every day. I think today we're calling you pipeline coordinator. I don't know. Sounds good. Know-it-all. Oh, I like that. Um, we have Michael, who's another educator. We have Heba, another educator. You can see we're having on educators today. We're the ones that are running all of these. We have Eric, who is on our amazing support team, and we have Esther, who is another one of our educators. So lots and lots of folks here that we all know all of the things, and we're really excited to share them with you. A couple of little things just as we're going. If you have questions, please go ahead and post those in the chat. We will be monitoring the Q&A also, but the chat, you can go ahead and chat with each other and everyone will see your question. Whereas the Q&A, it's not as easy to see things. Yeah, thanks, Sally, for dating some of us. Appreciate that so much. Couple of things to be aware of. We are talking about 25.11. The features that we talk about will not be available until you are upgraded to 25.11, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the webinar. So please don't please don't submit tickets saying, hey, can I have this? Because the answer is going to be no, and we really don't like saying no. So just hold on until the 25.11 is rolled out, and you'll be able to have all these amazing features. Something really important, so perk up your ears. If you are using EDI, if your library uses EDI for acquisitions, you will need to update your EDI plugins after, very important, after go live. Don't do them today. The morning that you go live, we ask that you please go ahead and go into your plugins and update all of your EDI ones. You can do them straight from there. They all have their own repositories now, so it's very easy to do, but really important to make sure you do that after go live. So again, lots of information on our on our hub for 25.11. So we have a couple of handy links there. We have the What's New agenda, which we're going to be pushing into our chat, so you can have access to that. And a webinar is not a webinar without a joke. And so since it is St. Patrick's Day, here we go. What do leprechauns leave outside? Patio furniture. All right. So on that high note, how about what do you got for us?
So I am going to talk about features of searching in the catalog, both your regular search, your item search features, and a little bit of a fun development for finding data issues. But we're going to start off with general searching. And this is bug 37883, which adds a filter for staff search results to filter by library. It has been backported to 25.05.04, so some of you may have noticed this. It introduces a new system preference called Search Limit Library, which I'll pull up here in a second. And what this does is limits what you're seeing when you're looking at search results to highlight my library. This is owned or held by my library versus everything else is kind of blanked out, so you have less visual clutter if it's not something that you're going to give to the patron in front of you. So we have it currently set to holding library, which would be what we would probably do for a library whose collection floats. Home library is probably what our consortial libraries are going to use, because that has to do with what is the things that my library owns, so I can help the patron in front of me. And we'll show you what it looks like in a search. So Michael's going to do a search here for weather. some of you who are some of our larger consortium partners might be staring at this going, I don't know what's different. It's always been like this for us. And this is one of those enhancements that Lucas has traditionally handled via jQuery for partners. So a little bit of code in the intranet user JS system preference. And what it does now is make that a built-in Koha feature. So it's a lot stabler long-term and available for everybody to use. So with that note, you may need to clear out some intranet user JS to comment out that bit of code if that's what you've been using beforehand. But what it is highlighting only the things that are held locally versus, okay, you can go ahead and show me what everything else is available from this result. So most useful for multi-branch and consortial libraries, and really just making part of Koha properly something that we've already been modifying for our existing groups. Our next features, the next couple of features to share are with my favorite dark horse feature of Koha, the item search. This is our tool for so I want a shelf list, but I don't want to have to write SQL for a report. And a few updates back, we encountered a development where the search results from item search were kind of sticky. So if you ran one search, modified some things from it, the next time you ran a search, those items would still be selected. This introduces a checkbox to let you decide if you want to retain those results from the previous result. So if we do just, we're going to unselect that box, kind of showing you what the existing behavior is. So we're going to just do a search for main library book. We are running this search for the first time, and you can see we have some items selected from a previous search. This bug, which is bug 33729, sorry, no, 38438, that button, if we go back to edit the search now, if we select that box and then run our same search again, we don't have those 5 results from a previous search sticky anymore. The first time I encountered this in our site right after we had upgraded to this version, I had to celebrate and go cross-post in the channels because I was so excited to see that. While we are on this search result page, we have another enhancement, bug 33729. And what that does is make the date accessioned visible in the item search table. So we could always search by it before, but that wasn't always the most helpful if we couldn't actually see it in the results. So because it's a table setting now, we can make that column visible by default in our table settings, or we can just hide it or display it in our search results as we're looking at the table. This is another bug that has been backported, that is in 25.05.02, so some of you may have stumbled on that already, but we always like to highlight the just in case you missed it features that kind of slip in. And then the last one is a little bit of a sidestep, and that is bug 40777, and this has to do with 500 errors. What typically happens when you encounter a 500 error in your Koha instance is you get a message like this that says, yeah, something went wrong. And then you put in a ticket with us. And then we tell you something's missing. This lets you actually diagnose yourself so you can see what that is. And there's a look at the audit button in the toolbar feature. So if you click OK and then click on that audit, we've got a little stethoscope. It'll tell us exactly where our problem is, which is that our item does not have an item type, and there is also not a defined item type for the record. So this is for those things, bad dates, missing a home branch or a holding branch, an item type that is off in some way. All those things that you were kind of stuck before and had to put in a ticket, we're always happy to help you with that. But we know you'd love to be able to help yourselves when you see that. And this is one of those things that really empowers you to help run things in your own system. And that's my look at searching updates. These are the things that we think will make our frontline users really happy. Katrina is going to share some of the administrative things to make the back of house folks happy.
That's the folks that are on this call right now. So let's look at a couple of things that are going to make things just like our 500 errors being a little bit more verbose and being able to see what is happening here. The first thing I want to share with you is bug 22632, ad logging of merged patrons. So before, when patrons were merged, we didn't retain any information about that merging. So now if we go into a patron record, so this is my dog, Eric. Yes, he has a patron account in our testing site. He had filled out a self-registration online, didn't realize he already had an account with the library. So now when we go to the modification log, rather than just seeing an edit, we'll be able to scroll down and see that there is a merge action logged, and it'll show that the old card has been merged into this existing account. While we're here taking a look at what we see in the logs, we'll also know, well, while we're still on this one, Sarah's going to talk, Heba's going to talk a little bit later. There is a permission attached to this. So 35830 introduces a separate permission for merging patrons. So if your staff have permissions to merge, they will be able to do the merge function, and you'll be able to see it in the patron modification logs. Another log that I know someone in particular on this call is very, very excited about, and we've been talking about for years, a 4-digit bug number, bug 9762, log circulation overrides. This one has also been backported to 25.05, so you may have seen it. So we'll be able to see here on Eric's account, I took a couple of circulation actions, and you're able to see that those overrides were logged. So one was for too many checkouts, too many renewals, logged a scene renewal. So you'll be able to see those now in the logs when an override was used to complete an action. And this one was also featured on Monday Minutes, and Cassidy just shared the link to that in the chat. So those changes are going to make it easier to track down when something goes awry. And the next bug I'm going to talk about, there's nothing really to share. It just makes reporting easier. So bug 38330, make bib level suppression a bibliotable field instead of part of a mark tag. So this isn't going to cause any changes for frontline staff. You're still going to suppress a bib record using the 942 subfield N. What this does is changes reports to simplify things by adding a new column to the biblio and deleted biblios table by creating a suppressed column so that you can report on that field more easily. So don't worry if you've got reports, it's not going to break your existing reports. It's going to make writing new reports, though, much more straightforward. So speaking of bibliographic records, let's take a look at a few things changing in the administration module related to our frameworks. So the first bug, there are two that are sort of connected in these changes. The first is bug 39824, add a direct link to the default framework in MARC Bibliographic Frameworks page. And the second one is bug 39825, add a direct link to the items tag in the MARC Bibliographic Framework page. So when we go into our MARC Bibliographic Frameworks, you used to have to select from your default framework over there on the right, actions, mark structure, edit mark structure. Now you have a link right there at the top of this page to go into your default framework. So if we select in there, then from here, you would have to search for your tag, and out of all of the tags in your default framework, you'd have to look for the 952s. But now at the top of this page, we also have a link to take us directly into those item tags. So it's small, but it's a nice quality of life enhancement. Just like our next bug, which is bug 40757, highlight circulation rules on click. So before, if you selected a circulation rule, you could highlight it by selecting edit, but then it's actually editing this at the bottom of the table and you couldn't select more than one. So it was hard to say, look, I want to see what the difference in these rules are between my young adult audiobook rule and my all patrons audiobook rule. Which was just like 2 or 3 underneath it. But I want to compare them side by side. And if I scrolled all the way over to the right, this just makes it so much easier to then compare those 2 rules and say, do I actually need a separate circulation rule, or could I tidy this table up a little bit? If the renewals are all the same, the holds are all the same, maybe I can start to collapse down my circulation rules. Unselecting it is as easy as just selecting it again, and it unhighlights it. So you can select any number of rows and it will highlight that row so you can compare them, scroll all the way to the right, scroll all the way to the left, and compare the rule all the way across this table. And then from here, I have another thing to show you. It's a new system preference. This is bug 37661. So bookings were introduced a few releases back, and we had quite a few requests here at ByWater to add some jQuery for those of you who are not using bookings to disable it. And it pops up in a lot of different places, and so there wasn't a really clean way for us to do it. I'm partial to this bug because I filed it. So with this right now, we have bookings enabled. So we're going to walk through and show you the few places that we're going to see this bookings show up on a patron account. So here's Eric's account again. We can see the bookings tab. He doesn't have anything booked. If we take a look at one of these items, we'll notice that if we scroll down, we have the ability to make that item bookable. And then up at the top of the page, we also have that option to place booking up in our quick actions. And then the third place I want to show you in a new tab is going to be in the circulation module. If you're using bookings, you'll have the ability to, you'll see that link to bookings to collect to know which ones you need to go out and pick up. All right, so this is enabled. Those are the places where we see this. Now, if we go back into administration and we change that system preference to disable, we're going to go back to Eric's account and we're going to refresh that page, and that makes that bookings tab, it's gone. We look at the item and refresh, poof, there goes our booking and our link to make something bookable. And then abracadabra, it's gone. So this is really great for those of you who are not using the bookings module to be able to turn that off so you don't see it in those places. I will make a note that I filed a bug earlier this week to remove the references to the bookings in the circulation and fine rules. So you'll still see it in your circulation and fine rules, but it's hidden in most of the other places for frontline staff. While we're taking a look at things that not everybody is necessarily using, Donna mentioned at the beginning of our webinar about the need to update your EDI plugins. And the reason you need to update your EDI plugins is because of bug 35761, add an administration editor for FTP and SFTP servers, and bug 3489, EDI should be updated to use the FTP SFTP servers management page. So now when we go into administration and we navigate under additional parameters, so we had our acquisition parameters, and we're going to scroll past that a little further, and that's where we're going to see our file transports. And that is where we're going to enter in the information for the FTP settings of what's going to be sent via EDI. This bug is why we need to update our plugins from the 3-point series to the 4-point series, because in the new world, those FTP or SFTP settings used to live in your EDI account information. And so the plugins were looking to your EDI accounts to pull that information about how to transmit that and the file transport information. Now that it's its own section, those plugins have been updated to look here for the connection information and look to the EDI account information for that relevant piece of information in the plugin. This is nice because now when you go to, say, one of your vendors has a new URL or you have a new password you need to put in, you don't have to update all of your EDI accounts related to that one vendor and the FTP connection information. You update it once and you can reference that same vendor file transport in all of your EDI accounts. And then this is another area of administration that I know a lot of our more technical savvy users are going to be really excited about. This is bug 37893, migrate some SIP configuration into the staff interface. So now we'll see under our patrons and circulation and administration, we have an area for self-service circulation SIP2. And so if we select in there, this is where we officially go over my head, which is why we have Eric, who is on our support team working with our systems team, is here to answer any technical questions you might have about this. We'll have him on hand for a Q&A at the end because don't ask me, I don't know. However, if you are like me and just seeing this makes you like squeeze up here and give you a little bit of anxiety attack, don't worry. Do what you have been doing and keep sending a ticket to ByWater if you need new SIP configuration. If, however, you are configuring things within Visionware and you're really comfortable with your SIP settings, now you have access to control these system settings yourselves and you don't have to submit a ticket to ByWater. So speaking of things that have a tendency to go over my head, just like SIP configuration, Esther is coming up next with some exciting updates for our catalogers and things that they can see in technical services. Esther, what do we have in 25.11 for cataloging?
Oh, we've got some great stuff coming. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is for the libraries that do authorities. And so I'm going to start with two bugs. Bug 33296. Linker should search for authority records with an appropriate tag 008 space 14, 15, and 16 value. And then the second bug is 38514. And I know not every library does authority work, but this does introduce a new system preference called consider heading use. So to explain what this is, I'm going to first go to an authority record and show you where those are. And in case you haven't looked at this before, we're going to actually edit this record and go in. Yeah, there we go. Edit the record. And if you haven't done this before, the authority editor is very similar to a bibliographic record in the basic editor. And it has control fields. And we're going to look at the 008 and open up the tag editor. Okay, so here are the fixed length data elements and space 14, 15, and 16. Define whether an authority is appropriate to link to a certain type of heading. So you have your main heading, a subject, and a series, and you have the options to mark it as appropriate or not appropriate. So this particular example is a topical term, so it is a subject added entry, so it is marked as appropriate. And so this system preference is going to be looking at these control fields and then determining whether that authority can be linked to the heading. And in the past, we have not necessarily paid as much attention to this. So this adds another layer, I guess, quality control to make sure we're linking correct authorities to heading properly to the headings. So let's go over to the authority system preferences and take a look at the new system preference, consider heading use. And this will come in off. So if you want to continue, if you're happy with the way things are linking, then leave this set at don't. If you are interested in enabling this, then you'll switch it to do and save, and it will start to consider those spaces in that control field. Because this impacts linking, you may want to consider adjusting some of your linker settings. And so we'll scroll down to the bottom where the linker settings are. All right, so you have auto link biblios, you have catalog module relink, and you have linker relink. If you enable consider heading use, it will only apply to new linking. So it will not retroactively fix any inappropriate links. And if you have catalog module relink on, it will relink to whatever it was linked to previously. So you may have to disable that, and you may also have to disable linker relink. Now, I tested a whole bunch of scenarios to see how this works, and I'm sure I did not test every possible scenario. So if you are interested in turning on consider heading use and you want us to look at your linker settings, we're happy to advise and give you some recommendations on what you should do. But this is kind of a nice enhancement if you want to have that little extra bit of quality control in your authority linking. We don't get many new system preferences for authority, so that's why we wanted to highlight this one. All right. The next one is a much anticipated new enhancement. It's bug 39860. Add a way to allow for additional custom mark fields in the record display. So you can find this by going to Tools.
I think we need to pause for a moment in this one and just recognize how amazing this is.
Yes, we have gotten so many tickets for support asking us to be able to customize the bibliographic record, the search results. We can now do this. In the past, we had to edit a style sheet that lived on the server, and it was very difficult to do and maintain, and we had to have our developers do it, and now we can do it ourselves. We can still do it for you if you're not comfortable, but it makes it easier for us to help you as well. So the place that we're going to click on is Record Display Customizations. So this is going to look familiar. It's similar to the HTML customizations. It's just called Record Display now. And if you want to do a new entry, we'll just click on New Entry so you can see the options. And the display location, you have the options to customize the staff detail page, which would be the bibliographic detail view, the list page, the search results page on the staff interface. And then you can also customize similarly in the OPAC. So you may have a special mark tag that you want to have displayed and not have to click through to edit the record or whatever to see it. You can now do that. So we'll go back here and actually look at what that looks like. We're going to edit this one for the 521A. Now this uses Template Toolkit. So if you are not comfortable with Template Toolkit, we're happy to help write this for you. You just let us know the field in the or tag and the subfield that you want, the label that you might want it, how you want it to display inline, that kind of thing. So this one here will display the 521 subfield A, and it will have a label that says the 521A. So if we go to a bibliographic detail view example of what that looks like, you can see here we have the 521A now displaying in the detail view. And this record has multiple 521As, and they're shown inline here. So each tag version is, comma the next one. And so you can get all of them displayed there. And you don't have to click on the descriptions tab to see it anymore. So it's fantastic. We are excited to see what libraries do with this because I know many libraries have asked for this. And so please experiment. And if you need assistance, we will help you. All right, I have a few more that are small quality of life enhancements and bug fixes. I don't have anything to display or demonstrate for this one. It's just informational, but it's bug 31460. Merging biblio records with attached item groups losing groups. It is now fixed. So you will not lose your groups if you merge records. So I'm sure that libraries that use that will be very excited. All right, the next one is bug 40017. Z3950 search, allow leader and specific control field positions in additional fields. So we'll go to administration and look at the system preferences for this. And you would look for additional fields. And there are two of them. So the top one is the authority search. So you can see there in the setting box that we have some fields there that are defined to display. The one that I want to show you though is in the search results one for bib records. And you'll notice that we have a leader tag that will show spaces 6 through 7. So you'll notice the format there that there's not an example there in the description. So you would put in the tag number and then I think P and then the space numbers. Okay. So now we'll go and we'll search for a record, doing a Z3950 search. And we've got there we go. We're just looking for Library of Congress. There we go. And if you have not updated your Library of Congress search target, look for the ByWater question of the week. All right, so you'll notice in the additional fields column, we now have the leader with the spaces showing 6 and 7. So this is really exciting because now you can define what additional fields you need to see without having to do the mark preview. It's just right there in the column. So if there's something that's really important that you need to see every time, that is totally possible now. All right, the next one is a 4-digit bug fix. Bug 7132, also long anticipated. This is check for duplicates when creating a new record in acquisitions. So when you go to acquisitions and you're adding an order from a new empty record, so something that you're creating from scratch as you add your order, it would not do a duplicate check. So it was possible to add an order for a duplicate with this workflow. Now, if you try to add something which already exists in your catalog, it will do a duplicate check and you get this lovely warning that says, hey, this is a duplicate, and you get the 3 options to use the existing record, cancel, or go ahead and create the new record, create the duplicate. So this is fantastic. This will hopefully help cut down on those duplicates that you may be getting when you create a new empty record. And there is a Monday Minutes on this as well. I did forget to mention there was a Monday Minutes on the record display customization. So if you're interested in that, there are some more examples on what you might do there. All right, so those are just a few highlights from this release for technical services. I think we're ready to move on to some really interesting and exciting updates that are coming for holds. So we'll hand it over to Sarah.
All right, so I've got 4 upgrades or 4 enhancements having to do with holds. The first 3 are big ones. We could spend at least half an hour, probably a full hour on just the 3 of those. So we're only going to be looking, kind of scratching the surface of what the 3 of these can do. The knowledge base, articles in the knowledge base will be updated with a whole lot more detail about the different options for each of these. But we encourage you to also bring questions to beyond what we get into today with these to the Q&A. To start, we have bug 36135, which is adding a tool to batch modify holds. So for this, you would start in tools and then go to batch modify holds under patrons and circulation. And so this is great for, let's say you have a whole bunch of holds that you need to suspend because of maybe some branch maintenance, or unsuspend, or you need to add notes to a whole bunch of holds. There's a whole lot of great things that you can do with this. In our little sample scenario here, we're going to say that the branch that we're at is closing for maintenance. So all holds that are awaiting pickup need their time extended. So let's say it's going to be closing starting tomorrow through the 21st. We're going to select the main branch. The libraries, so the libraries field, you can select one or more. That is going to be the pickup library for the hold. The found status, as you can see with that and libraries, you can multi-select. The found status is a little maybe counterintuitive in some ways. If you leave that blank, the Koha is going to look for any holds that match your other criteria. If you click no status, that's going to be holds that exclude anything that's in transit, in processing, or waiting. So basically anything that has not begun the process of being found. In transit would, of course, be on the way to the pickup library. In processing has to do with the holds need processing SIP system preference. And then waiting is anything that's on the hold shelf for patrons. So just the no status versus leaving them all blank is a bit maybe counterintuitive. So just keep that in mind. You can look at whether things are currently suspended or unsuspended, dates for suspension. So that's great if you are unsuspending things. You can have a date range for those suspended holds so that you can then unsuspend them. And then you can also look for holds with a specific hold note. But again, for our example, we're just going to look at this criteria. So we've got our 4 holds that meet our criteria there. You can, up at the top, there's a checkbox to select all visible rows. And keep in mind here, so this example only has 4 results, but you can see we've got that show 20 entries drop down. So if you have something with a lot of results, just make sure that you expand how many are showing or page through to make sure that you're selecting everything that you need to select. And if we go ahead and scroll down, here's where you can make your change. So in this example, we would set a new expiration date of, let's say, the 27th, because the library is going to be reopening that Monday, but we want to give patrons some extra days. As you can see, you can also update the pickup library depending on the hold status. You can batch suspend or unsuspend, suspend until. If you suspend without a suspend until, it'll just be an indefinite suspension. And then you can also add a new hold note. The one thing I want to point out about adding a new hold note is that if you add a hold note and a given hold already had a note, this is going to overwrite whatever note was already there. It's not going to append it. So from here, you would just click modify holds. And you've got your, you can see there in the results that updated expiration date. One thing to keep in mind with this is that patrons are not notified of any changes that you make. If you like change the suspension status, pickup location, expiration date, you would need to communicate that separately to them. Also, it's, if you have holds that are already on the shelf with printed slips, if your process would be to reprint those slips, you'll still need to go to each hold and reprint the slip by clicking on that print slip button. But this will do that batch updating the date so that you don't have to do each of those individually. All right, so next we have bug 31698, which is adding the ability to move a hold to a new bibliographic record or item. Got a lot of excitement about this one. This is sponsored by Cuyahoga County Public Library. And this has a permission associated with it. It is called alter hold targets. It's under the reserve for others group of permissions. So if we expand that reserve for others, you can see that alter hold targets. So anyone who has that permission will see the button that we're about to see when you're modifying holds. If someone does not have that permission, they will not be able to see that button. So if we go to a title, yeah, so we've got the pollinator victory garden. So in our example here, we're going to say a patron has a hold on this item. Staff realizes it's too damaged to circulate. Contact the patron and ask. The patron says, can you just move it to something about a similar topic? So this is a pretty straightforward. We're just moving it from one record to another record. You can do this with multiple holds at once. So if this bib had 20 holds on it, we could move all of those at once to another bib. We are just, because of time constraints, we're going to be looking at just moving from a bib to a bib. You can also do from an item to an item. This one's got lots of different variations. Keep your eye on the knowledge base for more details about all the different variations for this one. So to prepare, so if you're starting with the hold as it exists, before you can move it to another hold, you need to identify the bib number, or if you're moving it to a new item, the item number, or pardon me, the barcode of the item that you're moving it to. So in this example, we've got another title on this topic, attracting birds and butterflies. So you'll want to grab the bib number for the target bib, which you can get from the URL. You can also get it from the items tab of the target bib, which I know that kind of displays in different places depending on how your screen is arranged, but you can always grab it from the URL. So once you've got that bib number.
I'm having technical difficulties here. Give me a second.
So what happens when a leprechaun falls in a river?
Oh, Michael, I'm going to need you to get your settings fixed fast.
What happens when a leprechaun falls in a river? He gets wet.
I thought he'd get gold.
So this seems like my cue to continue. So we're on the target. So on the items tab of the target, just up at the top, you can also see the biblio number right there. So either of those places. So now if we go back to the hold that we need to move, we've got that move selected. So first you'll want to select, in this case, it's just the one hold, but you could select all with that checkbox at the top. And we're going to click on move selected. And that move selected, again, is not going to show up if someone doesn't have that alter hold target permission. In this case, it's because it is already a bib level hold. We only have that record level hold to a different record option. So you would click there. And on this screen, you're going to paste in the bib number of the target. Again, if you were moving an item, you would be pasting in the barcode of the item, and the language on this modal would say item barcode. So you click search. You need to click this checkbox next to move all selected record level holds to confirm that you want to do that. Then you would click move selected holds. And here we have our confirmation screen. So you can see the hold ID, which is nice if you need to review the logs for any reason. That's the reserve ID. And we've got the title that it moved from, and then in that green box, the title that it moved to. So if you click on the end of that box where it says to attracting birds, yeah. And if we look at the holds tab there, the hold that we moved now shows up. Now, the one thing I do want to point out here is that any holds that you move are going to be at the end of the list of the target record. So even though the hold place date on this one was earlier than the two existing holds on this record, it's just going to be added to the bottom. So you may need to adjust priority depending on the circumstances and your library's policies, but they will all just move over in the order that they were on the original bib, but be appended to the end of the list here. All right, and yeah, again, that one has a whole bunch of variations that'll be explored in more detail in the knowledge base, but it'll be a great one to look at in more depth during the Q&A if anyone is interested. Okay, so our next one is, let me see, we've got five bugs, but the main one is bug 15516, which is allowed to place a hold on first available item from a group of titles. The ones that go along with this, we've got bug 40529, update how hold groups work. 40517, allow grouping existing holds. 40613, allow ungrouping holds. And then 40552, allow selecting all holds from a group. So, and those ones after 15516 are just kind of further enhancements to that main function. So an example use case for this is someone wants a specific title and they don't care whether they have the audiobook or the large print or the standard print version. They just want whichever one is available first. So in the past, they would have had to have placed holds separately on each of those three. And then once one came in, they would need to remember to go in and cancel the holds for the ones that they did not get. Another example, let's say someone has a list of summer reading books and they just want the first of whatever's available there. So sometimes it can be the same title, but it does not have to be the same title. It can be any random group of bibs that someone needs, like the first available of that. So there's a new system preference to enable this feature. So if this is not something you're interested in, you can pretend that you didn't hear any of this. It is called display add hold groups. And it's either enable or don't enable the ability to create hold groups, which are fulfilled by one item. And the way that it works is, so we'll go through the process of placing a hold like this, but essentially when one item from that hold group is fills, the other holds are not going to trigger. And then the other holds will be automatically canceled when that first item is checked out. So, and this can be done from the staff interface or from the OPAC. So in our example here, we've got someone wants some Poe stories. So they find a couple of different bibs with Poe stories. And from there, you click place hold. And we are, so I'm in Baltimore. One of our famous residents is Mr. Trash Wheel. And we're looking for books on Poe as just another Baltimore character. Just in case anyone's curious where this is coming from. So you can see we've got a new option right above the three holds that we've selected for treat as hold group. So if that system preference were set to don't enable, this would not show up, but we are going to go ahead and check that box and we're going to pick up at main. You could have different pickup locations, you know, as long as that was allowed by your CERC rules and such. But we're going to place the hold here. And if you scroll over to the details column on this screen, yeah, on that same screen, just scroll to the, oh, it might just be how my screen is showing up here. Yeah, the details column, we can see there is a next available part of a hold group option. And if you click that, you can see all the other titles that are part of that group. So we just placed these, so all of these are showing up on this screen. But if I were to go to the bib for any individual one of these, that same link would still show up. So it's easy to see, no matter where you're identifying this hold, which other holds are part of the group. Let's go ahead and place one from the OPAC.
While we're changing screens real quick, Sarah, a really important question that I want to make sure everyone hears the answer to. So the question from Mary is, would this be counted as one hold towards your hold limit?
Oh, I have to double check. I know we tested this and I have to double check what the answer was.
I'm pretty sure the answer was no. It would
I
count as
believe that's
three
the case.
holds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, it'll hold, it'll count for however many items I've put in that hold group will be that number of holds that I have then placed. Now, when I get that one fulfilled, though, it'll take all of them off that holds count also. So just
Yeah.
a heads up.
So from the OPAC, the process is similar. So we're going to check those two. And so we've got an audiobook version and a print version here. So we're going to click place hold. And we've got that similar option to what we saw in the staff interface. We can, so you would click that treat as hold group. And we can place that hold or confirm the hold rather. And so from, so it's, and there's some bugs about this, so this may change, but we can see in that column under the title, there's that little notation that's part of a hold group. And if you click right around there, the bug is to make it clear that this is a link because I did not realize it was a link at first. But if you click there, it'll show you what other titles are part of that hold group. If you click on that same part of a hold group under the Telltale Heart and other tales, the entry right above that one, you've got the ones there. So you have to click that area to see what other titles are part of it or part of that group. There's no, you'll see in a moment, it looks different on the staff interface. There's another way to see what is grouped with what, but you can see this, or patrons will be able to see this from the OPAC. So if we go back to the staff interface.
Something else is coming up quite a lot.
Sure.
Be aware that we are very specifically using the term OPAC, as in the Koha OPAC. This is not available in Aspen yet, but the development work is already underway for it. And I believe, yep, Katrina just put the JIRA issue in there.
So now if we go to Mr. Trashwheel's account and look at the holds tab. So there's a new column here for hold group, and this is what indicates what is grouped with what. So in the staff interface, it was that small part of hold group thing, and you had to click on that to see what's grouped together. In the staff interface, you've got the hold group that you can clearly see what's what. So if you click on any of these numbers, it'll show you each of the titles, and you've got a handy tool here to be able to ungroup those holds. So if it's something more like summer reading and it's different titles and someone decides I want to ungroup them, you can ungroup them that way. You can also, yes, exactly. So that would get rid of that. You can group from here. You can group things differently. The knowledge base will go into more detail with everything that you can do from here. One of the nice features is being able to select them all at once. The way from that modal. So there's more detail will be in the knowledge base on that, but that is the basic functionality. You can also, from the staff interface, if you have holds that were placed separately, so they were not placed with that treat as a hold group button selected, you can then group them from here. So if we, the knowledge base will going to go through the steps on that, but there's a lot more, there's some additional functionality, but just to keep us moving with what we've got here.
Quick question. That was a quick question that came up also too is this limited to satisfying the hold with a single item, or can I say something like I want the first 3 of these 5? After our brains all exploded, Sally, the answer is 1 right now. Thank you very much. But as it stands right now, it'll only fill the first of that hold group, and then that group will be basically dispersed. But you know what? That'd be an interesting bug to file.
And there are some bugs that go along with this. They are in the bug roundup, but the one that I do want to call out is, or not, it's not a bug exactly, but just something to keep in mind is that even after one of these holds is filled, so let's say Classic Cat Stories is checked in, so you'll be able to see in the patron's account that it's filled. The other holds that are part of that group are not going to be canceled until that item is checked out. So if you see that, that is how it is supposed to work. And the idea there is, if the one that was filled maybe is damaged and it no longer can fill, you don't want to lose that group until you know that the patron has gotten the item. So there's some caveats with this one, but that is that's the big one to keep in mind there. All right, and so our next holds one is more straightforward. It is bug 40335. Holds queue does not allow multi-select. So in the holds queue, and I'm going to go to the main branch here. So for collection, and this one has been backported, I should say, so you may have already seen this, but in shelving location and collection code, you can now select multiple shelving collections or location codes. So this is great if you want to maybe like print the list out. Like if you're, well, we'll start here. So let's go ahead and look at the juvenile shelving location. So we can see we've got 4 items showing up there. Let's say we're printing this list out and the juvenile section is right near the teen section. So you want to be able to have the 2 of those printed out together. So if we click submit, we've got that additional hold now for the teen shelving location. If we add a collection, I'm going to go ahead and add graphic novels. So the one thing to keep in mind with how this works is that similar to advanced search, anything within any multiple selections within shelving location or collection code are treated as or, and anything between library, item type, collection, and shelving location is an and. So with this configuration, something has to have the collection code of graphic novel and either the shelving location of juvenile or the shelving location of teen. So it's that same logic that advanced search uses, but if you do make use of this, just keep in mind that if you'll as you're deciding how to filter things, you'll need to keep that and or distinction in mind. All right, and now we've got some more circulation and patron enhancements. Back with Heba.
Yeah, so originally Sarah was going to take on all of the circulation stuff, and we said, wait a minute, that was a lot of holds. Let's take some of that off your plate. So I'm going to talk about some circulation things. First up is bug 30331, which is splitting out a little bit of the renewal period base behavior. So historically in Koha, anything that touched renewals of checkouts, it was the same across the board, whether it was automatic or whether it was a manual. And so we had one system preference called renewal period base, and that determined if a renewal happens, should the new due date be based on the due date of the checkout or the date that the renewal actually happens. And you're going to have different values for that, depending on whether something is a patron is renewing something early or whether an automatic renewal is happening the day before something is due. So this enhancement breaks that previously single renewal period setting into 2 preferences so that you can drive your manual renewals period base and your automatic renewals period base differently. So what you may want to do is for any patron initiated manual renewals, maybe you want to say base it on their current due date that they actually do it. And if they choose to renew early and lose a few days, that's on them. But for automatic renewals, we know it's always going to happen same day, same time. We're going to base it on the old due date, but have it go a couple days early just to make sure that if they need to bring something back for a hold, they have that warning. So this is going to, it should come in with the inherited settings from renewal period base, and then libraries can configure those differently if they want to break those up. So we saw something similar happen with no renewal before in the circ table. This is now extending that outward to due dates as a global system preference. Next up is more granularity. This is bug 206 25.11. And this has to do with the setting of check previous checkout. And what check previous checkout would say is where libraries are like, I don't want patrons to have something within a certain amount of time because this is a limited resource and I want to make sure everyone has access to it. Previously, the only mechanism to really break that up was by patron category. What this preference now has options. We got options now. We could say do check their previous checkouts, don't check their previous checkouts globally. We can check it unless overridden by patron category, which was a setting we already had, or item type, which is new. And then we can say do or do not override based on these patron or item type categories. So this is your like the really iconic examples of this is we have park passes or we have hotspots or laptops that we lend out. And we really want to make sure that we don't just have the same person checking it out in the same short period of time. So we want Koha to warn us if they have had it recently within a certain number of days ago. So this, now if we go over to administration and look at item types, and we have it set to either of the conditional statements, so patron type, patron category, or item type, we now have a setting to tell Koha to, do we check for previous, do we check for previous checkouts? If so, go ahead and override what the default is for everything else. And this mimics the same settings we already had in the patron categories before. So we might have said previously, like, we're going to check previous checkouts for everybody but our homebound patrons. Now we can set it more specifically by the item type, so we can try to limit that monopolization of items of specific resources without turning it on globally, because we don't need to know that that patron is checking out the same mystery they just had last month. It's really these limited resources that we care about. So this is a bug that I have been personally following for a long time, and I've been very excited to see changes on it. Another bug, 23010, is a new system preference called Prevent Withdrawing Items Status. And this one is just a quality of life thing that can really just prevent librarian headaches from human error is what it boils down to. So a lot of libraries have it set to where if an item is withdrawn, it doesn't check back in. And previously, you could accidentally withdraw an item while it was still checked out to a patron or while it was in transit, and you'd have this state where you had an uncheck-inable item that was still attached to a patron account. So this preference basically negates the ability to do that, and just makes it a lot better for your frontline staff who aren't stuck with a help. What do I do with this item a patron tried to give back to me? I can't check it back in. The next few enhancements have to do with patron accounts. So we're going to go to Sarah's account here. The first bug is 41053, which is making notice contents searchable on the Notices tab of the patron details. So if we look in Sarah's notices and we're searching because she told us she got an email about something that had doctor in the title, we can find the notice that was sent in so that we can troubleshoot or see if there was some problem with the delivery, figure out what might have happened that day in that notice. So that is a very nice little quality of life enhancement, and that has already been backported to 25.05.06. So that is a thing that is you can already enjoy. The next one is a very common request we've gotten. That is bug 33647, and that is displaying the last seen value on a patron account. So for the libraries using track last patron activity triggers, historically, you could only really access that data captured by that from a report. You couldn't see when did that patron last touch the library system in some way. Now that is visible in a patron account. So if they've logged in, used an ebook, you can see in real time without digging in via report that they have been active recently. The next one is actually a bug I filed. Katrina was talking about the bookings bug and how she was excited because she filed it. This is a bug I filed. This is bug 32581, update date expiry on patron category change. So if we look at Nina's account, and Nina is right now a student. This is a 12-month renewal period, I think. We're going to update Nina to a youth or juvenile now, youth. We're going to get a prompt that says, so first there's a prompt about, do we want to change the messaging preferences? But then this is the new modal, is change expiration date to default for this category. So if you have folks who maybe move in or out of residency and those accounts have different enrollment periods, you can change, you can make sure that they have an expiration date based on today that matches the new parameters of their account. So you don't have somebody who's in a longer expiration period than maybe the new account category they've moved into, or vice versa. So this one came up out of working some different tickets, and it's exciting to see it in Koha properly. This does not work with making changes from batch patron modification. We've tested and confirmed that. And it will calculate it from the day the change is made. So if my enrollment period is 12 months, it is going to recalculate to 12 months from today. I still don't need to mess with the expiration. Sorry, technical difficulties. I don't need to mess with the expiration date. It will auto-calculate the same as it will for my other account creation actions. We're going to stay on Nina's account here and take a look at some new permissions. So the theme for a lot of the things I've been talking about are more granular, more granular, more granular. And nowhere is this more true than our permission sets as we get more large libraries starting to use Koha. The first one is bug 35830. And Katrina alluded to this earlier, which is the new permission for merging patrons. So previously that kind of lived under being able to edit borrowers. Anybody could merge one account into another account. Now that is broken out more particularly. So that is going to make some of our libraries very happy to be able to break that out more specifically. We have a few more patron related permissions. So bug 32682. This one is the permission to view patron checkout history or reading history, and it's related bug 40364 for viewing patron holds history. And these are more granularity to whether basically it's more options for patron privacy so that you don't have to have more people able to see reading history who maybe don't need to be able to see it. So we have a lot of new permissions for libraries to be able to revisit and decide who needs what level of access in managing patron accounts. And then we have one last one that has to do with patron searching, and it has to do with the display of preferred name versus first name if those two are different. It starts with a bug 40245, and it introduces a new system preference that is show patron first name if different than preferred name. That is not a preference, that's a sentence. But anyway, Um, it is what it says on the tin. If a patron's first name in search results is different from their first name, do you show it or not show it? So we are going to search up Nina. So we have Nina Brown is one of Sarah's family members. It's her cat. And we have her preferred name is Old Lady Baby, and her actual first name on her record is Nina. So if you click on the record, we can see that her preferred name is what is displaying. We can still see first name on there. It's just when I'm searching in the search results and in the drop down, do I also see that legally distinct first name? And I suspect this is not the longest named system preferences. We have some doozies in there, but it's a pretty long one. And that's the patron and circ enhancements that I have. I believe we were going to offer the floor up to Eric for any of the follow-up questions people have. Oh, yes.
Before we do, we have a quick question about the permissions. So with those two new permissions, will they be on? Will they be off? How's that going to work?
So
I will let a developer speak to it. I have a theory though.
Broadly, if a user had permission to see that data before the upgrade, they will have permission to see that upgrade or that data after the upgrade. Really specifically, that means any user who had basic edit borrower's permission at upgrade will have view checkout history and view hold history. So it's going to be on for a lot of people, which is kind of why these bugs happened, because we wanted to be able to turn that off for some people.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
And just for all those trivia-minded people, Eric has found out the patron self-registration expired temporary accounts delay is apparently the longest system preference right now. So there you go. We did do a search the other day because we keep adding system preferences, and we're over 900 now, I think. So yeah, that number keeps going up and up and up. So perfect. Then the other question is, are we currently able to see past holds that have been canceled? If you have permission, yes. So not being flippant, but there's a lot of asterisks in that answer. So okay. Fantastic. Eric, you're the star of the show.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, everybody, I'm here to talk about SIP configuration stuff.
Well,
later if you
hold
want.
Okay,
on.
now you're not being enthusiastic enough.
Oh, now I'm not. Ah, okay. Well, let's try something else. Okay. Well, cool. I will just try to. How about that? Is that a little bit better, everybody? No? Not really? Barely? Okay. Mike Vaughn. Yeah, I set it back to like automatically adjust, so I thought this is what I had at the beginning, but okay. Let's turn that all the way back up and just talk quietly with it all the way up. Okay, good. Let's talk about stuff. So, if you want to talk about SIP configuration things, all of that good stuff, I'm here for that. You can send in tickets. You can ask here in the Q&A section. That's fine. We don't have to take time right now to talk about that, because I'm kind of a shy guy when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I do want to talk about just the upgrades in general, just how that's working from like the support standpoint of what to be looking for. We have an excellent upgrades hub knowledge base article. There's a wonderful link provided us by Cassidy. Go there if you're looking for what were some of these bugs we were talking about. They mentioned this one thing. What was that? All that kind of stuff. Also, some of the key dates are going to be on there. So specifically, for if you're an early adopter, you already have some of these great new features, and you should be excitedly trying things out. And you've got an upgrade coming the week of April 6th for our early adopters to the 0.03 package of 25.11. For everyone else, we get to wait till the end of April So it would be the week of the 20th through the 23rd. And those upgrades, they'll be posted in your staff client. There on the side, there'll be a little announcement saying, hey, your scheduled update is for tonight. And that is going to be after 9 p.m., your time, not whatever Eastern time or thing. It's actually your time zone after 9. And then it will just roll through the night. During that upgrade, for some of those that maybe missed it, your SIP account stuff will be migrated into the new page, so all of that will come in the morning. All those different things will just take place, and you'll be good to go. And then when you first open up, remember, we're going to want to update any of our EDI plugins if we have those. And then just a general rule of thumb, it's just always good to kind of clean out your cache, just to make sure you've got the freshest of fresh browsers and things, just to get things going well. So that's, the main things to be looking forward to. It's next month. It's coming up. Let's go, so that's good stuff. We do have a Q&A session, kind of like following once we've got it. People have been kicking the tires. They're like, hey, I've got ideas and thoughts about stuff. That is going to be coming up in May, the 13th. There'll be links and things sent out to you that you can register for that, and you'll see more of these lovely panelists around to answer more questions about that. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff coming. That's basically all that I have, everybody. So I'm going to give it back to Katrina to kind of chaperone my way out of here. So
you don't need a chaperone. You're great. I would love to hear. We saw lots of responses to a few of the bugs, but we want to hear from you. What are the things you are most excited about in 25.11? We know this is another one of those releases that's got a lot of new stuff in it. So we would love to hear from you. What are you excited about? What do you want to know more about? And we will pass along feedback to Nick and Jesse, and maybe that's something they can cover in a Monday Minutes, or something that we'll be sure to include in our Q&A webinar when we host that in May.
While we're waiting for people to type in, I'm going to go out on a limb and say people are going to want to know lots more about the multi-holds process that we were talking about. I know, shocker, right?
Hold groups, which are affectionately known as hyperholds.
Oh.
So you'll see that the JIRA issue that we shared for those of you on Aspen and Koha is actually called hyperholds.
Eric has chimed in. The record display customization is pretty great. We're with you, Eric. We all love that. I know Lucas, who did a lot of our customization, is very happy about that also. I also love the batch extend hold expirations. Y'all don't know, we get so many tickets coming in because, libraries had an emergency, they had to close, we've had a snow day, we've had a bookmobile breakdown, whatever. And our data team has had to do those tickets. And so we love that you all have that power in your hands, because that, again, is what we're looking for, is to give you all the power to do this sort of stuff. We kind of joke about it. It's like, we want you to contact us when you mess something up, not when we have to do something for you. So we love giving the power to the partners. And there's a whole movement on that we're working on that one.
Along those lines, Donna, the verbose 500 errors on records, and
oh my
actually being able
gosh,
to see what's wrong instead of just like, hey, I keep getting these 500 errors. Why? And even we can't see them in education. And so we're always pinging the data team of like, what is this? So I'm really excited to be able to see that directly in the staff interface.
Mary is saying, moving the holds will be useful, and that she would actually like to start using authorities. So Mary, we've got some great resources for authorities. This probably is the right time to do it. And Esther and I have an ongoing fake battle about authorities and whether you should use them or not. So she's always happy to talk about those and how they can be really useful in very specific, in certain situations. Absolutely. Let's see, the holds groups. Christopher's asking, are the SIP settings actually linked to the account they use, or do they just refer to the account? I know those are words. I don't know what that means.
They are linked to the account. In the SIP setup, each account has a long list of SIP settings to define how it works and what weird stuff it does.
Okay, excellent. Last
And
activity.
Sorry, I do have to bop in really quick. The SIP username, there is still a corresponding borrower account that you do need to make sure has the proper permissions to do the things that it needs to do. So those, they are linked in that way. So the account settings do stick with that, but you also, when you make a SIP account, you're going to want to make sure you make a borrower account first that has that OPAC username that will then match what the username is for your SIP account so that they can talk to each other and actually sign in and do stuff.
And Eric
So,
will be at our Q&A session because he knows this.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
smile and nod. So last activity by patron, moving holds. Love that too. And that it keeps, and yes, Leanne, I'm with you. I love that it keeps the original date because that really helps us when we're trying to process all of those sorts of things. Linking customer purchase requests to an order. Yep, we didn't talk about that one, Jennifer, but that is what we like. Yes, Christopher, you all can still mess things up and we'll be here to help. For those of you that haven't heard me do the spiel before, our role, we view it as we try to stop you from running into a burning building. If you are determined to run into that burning building, though, we'll be on the other side with a fire extinguisher to help you out. So that's kind of what we're here for, is to give you a hand with all of that. So go for it. Try all those things because we love learning new stuff too. It's a lot of fun. Leanne asks, are staff going to be able to toggle back and forth between their own library versus everything that is available with the filter search results by logged in branch? Yes, you can, and it is wonderful. So one click, I can see my library. One click, I can see everything. It's fantastic to be able to do this. So fantastic. Educators, anyone want to speak up as something that we haven't mentioned that you are absolutely in love with for 2511?
I really love the check previous item check or check previous checkout by item type because that's what it needed to be all along.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of those things that we kind of work with libraries where you have limited numbers of, perhaps museum passes or,
It's always
limited
the
numbers
passes.
of,
Always.
internet hotspots, all of that sort of stuff. This is a great way to be able to kind of see, to make sure that there is that fair use in there. So fantastic. All right.
I'll call out one
Okay.
we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
Bug 35654.
Oh, yeah.
Lets the delete items cron job delete the bib record if it's taking the last item off of it. So if, say, like you have a cron job set up to delete all of your fast add interlibrary loan items after they've been returned and dead for a while, it will take the bib along with the item and not leave those junking up your catalog.
Fantastic. All right. So to see us out, Katrina, what do you get if you cross a leprechaun with a Texan?
She's picking on me because I live in Texas. I don't know.
A pot of chili at the end of the rainbow.
Donna, we love you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Take care.